What if I told you that people reveal more than they intend to, even when their words are carefully chosen? Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, something felt off, but you could not explain why? Have you ever trusted someone's smile, only to later realize it was never real? Or maybe you have experienced the opposite. Someone said very little, but you felt safe around them instantly. Here is the truth. Human communication did not begin with words. It began with survival. Long before language, we relied on posture, facial tension, movement, and vocal tone to determine who was safe and who was not. Psychologist Albert Mehrabian's research is often oversimplified online, but one part is clear. When emotions are involved, nonverbal signals strongly influence how messages are interpreted. Words matter, but emotion is carried through tone and facial expression. Your brain is constantly scanning for these signals. You sense tension before anyone raises their voice. You feel rejection before you hear the criticism. You detect attraction before it is confessed. This is not magic. It is pattern recognition built into your nervous system. Today, we are breaking down the subtle body language signals that can reveal hidden intentions, emotional states, and internal conflict. Not to make you paranoid, but to make you perceptive. Let's begin. The difference between a genuine smile and a social smile. In the 19th century, neurologist Guillaume Duchenne identified a key difference between genuine and forced smiles. A genuine smile, often called a Duchenne smile, activates both the zygomatic major muscle, which lifts the mouth, and the orbicularis oculi muscle, which creates subtle crinkling around the eyes. A polite or social smile usually engages only the mouth. Paul Ekman's later research on facial expressions supported the idea that authentic emotional expressions are harder to fake because they involve involuntary muscle activation. However, here is the nuance. A non-Duchenne smile does not automatically mean someone is lying or malicious. It may simply reflect politeness, anxiety, or social pressure. The key is congruence. Does the smile match the tone? Does it match the timing? Does it match the situation? When the expression and the emotional context do not align, your brain notices. That discomfort you feel is often emotional mismatch. Feet and directional intention. Most people monitor their face and hands during conversation. Very few monitor their feet. Research in nonverbal behavior suggests that lower body orientation can reflect engagement and intention. When someone's torso and feet are directed toward you, it often indicates attention and involvement. When the feet angle toward an exit while the upper body remains facing you, it may signal a desire to leave or disengage. This is not a lie detector. It is a directional cue. The body often prepares to move before the conscious mind verbalizes the intention. That preparation leaks into posture. Micro-expressions. Brief windows into emotion. In the 1960s and 70s, Paul Ekman conducted cross-cultural research showing that certain core facial expressions are universally recognized. Happiness, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, and surprise. Micro-expressions are extremely brief facial movements that can occur when someone attempts to conceal an emotion. They last fractions of a second, but here's the important clarification. Micro-expressions reveal emotional leakage, not necessarily deception. Someone might show a flash of fear because they are anxious, not because they are guilty. For example, contempt, often expressed as a unilateral lip raise, has been strongly associated in research with relationship dissatisfaction. John Gottman's work on marital stability identified contempt as a powerful predictor of relationship breakdown. That tiny expression can carry enormous emotional weight. Your brain may register it before your conscious mind does. Defensive postures and psychological barrier. When people feel psychologically threatened, their bodies often close. Crossed arms, hunched shoulders, lowered chin, or objects placed between themselves and others can function as protective signals. Social psychology research suggests that posture both reflects and influences emotional states. However, posture must be interpreted in context. A person crossing their arms in a cold room is regulating temperature. A person crossing their arms during a heated conversation may be regulating emotion. The meaning comes from the cluster. Closed posture combined with minimal eye contact and reduced verbal engagement suggests discomfort or resistance. One signal alone proves nothing. Patterns reveal more than isolated gestures. Eye behavior and cognitive load. There is a widespread belief that liars avoid eye contact. Empirical research does not consistently support that claim. In fact, some individuals increase eye contact when lying in an attempt to appear credible. What research does suggest is that deception increases cognitive load. When the brain works harder to fabricate information, subtle behavioral shifts may occur. These shifts can include changes in blink rate, increased rigidity, delayed responses, or unusual stillness. The most reliable indicator is deviation from baseline behavior. If someone's typical communication style changes abruptly under specific questioning, that shift may signal internal stress. Stress does not equal guilt. but stress signals something important is happening internally. Touch and emotional influence. Touch is deeply wired into human bonding. Studies in social psychology have shown that brief, appropriate touch can increase feelings of trust and connection in certain contexts. However, touch is highly culture-dependent and context-sensitive. Uninvited or premature touch can trigger discomfort immediately because it activates personal boundary systems in the brain. Your body reacts before your conscious reasoning catches up. That reaction is protective. Healthy interactions respect pacing and boundaries, mirroring and rapport. When two people feel aligned, they often unconsciously mirror posture, gestures, and speech rhythm. This behavioral synchrony is associated with rapport and social bonding. Neuroscience research on mirror systems suggests that observing another person's movement activates similar neural circuits in the observer. However, mirroring can also be used deliberately in persuasion training. The difference between authentic and strategic mirroring lies in subtlety and timing. Natural mirroring unfolds gradually and imperfectly. Forced mirroring feels slightly exaggerated or out of sync. Your intuition is sensitive to rhythm. When something feels mechanical, it often is. Vocal tone as emotional leakage. Communication is not only visual. Prosody, which refers to tone, pitch, rhythm, and stress patterns in speech, carries emotional information. A tightened jaw changes resonance. Suppressed anger reduces warmth. Anxiety can raise pitch and alter breathing cadence. Even when words remain controlled, vocal shifts can reveal emotional strain. Most people trust tone more than content when the two conflict. The freeze response. Under threat or sudden pressure, the human nervous system may activate a freeze response. Movement decreases. Facial animation reduces. Breathing shifts. This response is part of the fight, flight, or freeze system. Importantly, freezing does not automatically imply deception. It can indicate fear, overwhelm, or social anxiety. Reading body language responsibly means separating emotional state from moral judgment. The golden rule: context, baseline, and clusters. Professional behavioral analysts emphasize three principles: baseline behavior, clusters of signals, context. A single gesture means very little. Multiple consistent shifts from a person's normal behavior, especially under specific emotional pressure, tell a more reliable story. Body language is probabilistic, not absolute. It gives you clues, not conclusions. Emotional reflection. Think about a moment in your life when you sensed something before you understood it. Maybe it was a hesitation before betrayal. Maybe it was warmth before trust. Maybe it was tension before conflict. Your nervous system often registers subtle shifts long before your conscious mind explains them. Learning body language is not about catching liars. It is about sharpening awareness. It is about recognizing discomfort, attraction, insecurity, defensiveness, and authenticity in real time. It is about listening with your eyes. Here is the truth. Body language does not expose every secret, but it reveals emotional alignment. When words and nonverbal cues match, communication feels effortless. When they conflict, confusion appears. The goal is not suspicion. The goal is clarity. Clarity strengthens relationships. Clarity protects boundaries. Clarity deepens understanding. The next time you speak with someone, observe gently. Notice their posture. Notice their timing. Notice congruence. And most importantly, notice your own internal reaction. Because often, the first signal you detect is not theirs. It is yours. If this helped you see human behavior differently, subscribe to MindCraft Lab, where we explore the psychology behind everyday interactions. And remember, sometimes the loudest message in the room is the one nobody says out loud. I will see you in the next video.